Good evening and welcome to the next episode of Kensuke's Kingdom by Michael Morpurgo. Chapter 1b, Peggy Sue. Now let's say hello to our normal characters. Morning Rebel and Mr. Shoutouts there. And let's go across to our main characters that we met yesterday. And that is Michael and his dog Stella and Mum and Dad. Now, yesterday in Chapter 1, Mum and Dad received a letter through the post. It was a letter that was going to change their lives. I'll continue. The letter arrived. Stella Artois savaged it as it came through the letterbox. There were puncture holes in it and it was damp, but we could read enough. The brickworks were going to close down. They were both being made redundant. Oh no, so Mum and Dad are both going to lose their jobs. That's what the letter's about. That's awful news. There was a terrible silence at the breakfast table that morning, and after that we never went sailings on Sundays anymore. I didn't have to ask why not. They both tried to find other jobs, but there was nothing. A creeping misery came over the house. Sometimes I would come home and they just wouldn't be speaking. They'd argue a lot about little niggly things, and they'd never been like that. My father stopped fixing things around the house. He was scarcely ever home anyway. If he wasn't looking for a job, he'd be down the pub. When he was home, he'd just sit there flicking through endless yachting magazines and saying nothing. This sounds awful. I tried to stay out of the house and play football as much as I could, but then Eddie moved away because his father had found a job somewhere down south. Football just wasn't the same without him. The Mudlarks disbanded. Everything was falling apart. Then one Sunday I came home from my paper round and found my mother sitting at the bottom of the stairs and crying. She'd always been so strong and I'd never seen her like this before. "Silly beggar," she said. "Your dad's a silly beggar, Michael. That's what he is." So there's Michael with Mum. Mum's upset. "What's he done?" I asked her. "He's gone off," she told me, and I thought she meant for good. "He wouldn't hear reason, oh no. He's had this idea," he says. "He wouldn't tell me what it was, only that he sold the car, that we're moving south and he's going to find us a place." I was relieved and quite pleased, really. South must be nearer to Eddie. Mum went on. "If he thinks I'm leaving this house, then I'm telling you he's got another thing coming." "Why? Why not, Mum?" I said. "There's not much here." "Well, there's the house for a start, and then there's your gran and there's schools." "Oh, Mum, there's other schools I could go to," I told her. She became steaming angry then, angrier than I'd never known her. "You want to know what the last straw was?" she said. "It was you, Michael, you going off on your paper round this morning. You know what your dad said? Well, I'll tell you, shall I? Do you know something?" he says. "There's only one lousy wage coming into this house, Michael's paper money." So Dad's really sad because the only money that's coming into the house is from Michael's paper round. And Dad usually provides all the money, so he's feeling really sad about that. "My son's 11 years old. He's got a job and I haven't." She steadied herself for a moment or two before she went on, her eyes filled with fierce tears. "I'm not moving, Michael. I was born here and I'm not going. No matter what he says, I'm not leaving." I was there when the phone call came a week or so later. I knew it was my father. My mother said very little, so I couldn't understand what was going on. Not until she sat me down afterwards and told me. He sounds different, Michael. I mean, like his old self, like his very old self, like he used to be when I first knew him. He's found us a place. "Just pack your stuff and come," he says. "Fareham, somewhere near Southampton, right on the sea," he says. "There's something very different about him, I'm telling you." My father did indeed seem a changed man. He was waiting for us when we got off the train. Now, Fareham, if we get the globe here, and we can't quite see, Fareham is right at the south of England. It's right next to the sea. He was waiting for us when we got off the train. So Dad's back now. Okay. So Dad comes back. So there he is. There he is. Okay. He was full-eyed again and full of laughter. He helped us with the cases. "It's not far," he said, ruffling my hair. "You wait till you see it, monkey face. I've got it all sorted. The whole thing. It's no good you trying to talk me out of it, either of you. I've made up my mind." What is it? What is it that Dad's did? What is it that Dad's decided? "What about?" I asked him. "Oh, you'll see," he said. Stella Artois bounded along ahead of us, her tail held high and happy. We all felt like that, I think. In the end, we caught a bus because the cases were too heavy. When we got off, we were right by the sea. There didn't seem to be any houses anyway, just a yachting marina. "What are we doing here?" my mother said. "There's someone I want you to meet. A good friend of mine. She's called Peggy Sue. She's been looking forward to meeting you. I've told her all about you." My mother frowned at me in puzzlement. I wasn't any the wiser either. All I knew for certain that he was being deliberately mysterious. Now, Dad's being mysterious. What has Dad done? Well, we're soon going to find out. Okay. Right. Let's have a look. Where are they? They're at the yachting marina. And there's a boat. We struggled on with our suitcases. The gulls crying overhead, the yacht mast clatting around us. And Stella yapping at all of it, until at last he stopped right by a gangplank that led up to a gleaming dark blue yacht. He put the cases down and turned to face us. He was grinning from ear to ear. "Here he is," she said. "Let me introduce you. This is the Peggy Sue, our new home." Considering everything, my mother took it pretty well. She just went very quiet, and she stayed quiet all through his explanation down in the galley over a cup of tea. Now, one of these boats, a galley is the word for the kitchen. And that's what the kitchen would look like inside one of these boats. There's the kitchen. There's the cooker. There's where you would sleep. There's the toilet. Okay. "It wasn't a spur of the moment thing," Dad said. "I've been thinking about it a long time, all those years working in the factory. All right, maybe I was just dreaming about it in those days. Funny when you think about it. If I hadn't lost my job, I'd never have dared do it. Not in a million years." Look at it, they're beautiful inside the boat. And there we are outside in the main cockpit. He knew he wasn't making much sense. "All right then, here's what I thought. What is it that we all love doing the most? Sailing. Wouldn't it be wonderful, I thought, if we could just get in the boat and take off and go all the way around the world? There's people who've done it. Blue water sailing, they call it. I read about it in the magazines. Like I said, it was just a dream to start with. And then no job and no chance of a job. What did the man say? Get on your bike. So why not a boat? We've got our redundancy money, what little there was of it. There's a bit saved up, and the car money, not a fortune, but enough. I could put it all in the bank like the others did. But what for? Just to watch it dribble away till there was nothing left? Or I thought I could do something really special with it. A once-in-a-lifetime thing. We could sail around the world. We could go to Africa, South America, Australia, the Pacific. We could see places that we've only ever dreamed of. We sat there, completely dumbstruck. "Oh, I know what you're thinking," he went on. "You're thinking, all we've ever done is sailing in a lake. Dinghy sailing. You're thinking, he's gone crazy, loopy in the head. You're thinking it's dangerous. You're thinking we'll be flat broke. But I've thought it all out. I even thought of your gran. There's a thing, we won't be gone forever, will we? She'll be here when we get back, won't she? She's perfectly healthy." Excellent. Excellent, I breathed. And that was exactly what I thought. And who's going to be the skipper? Who's going to be the captain of this boat? Said Mother. You, of course, said Dad. Aye, aye, Captain. And my father laughed and gave her a mock salute. What about Michael's school? She went on. I've thought of that too, he said. I asked the local school down here, it's all arranged. We'll take all the books he'll need. I'll teach him, you'll teach him, he'll teach himself. I'll tell you something for nothing. He'll learn more in a couple of years at sea than he ever would in that monkey school of his. Well, wouldn't that be brilliant, children? Going around the world with your mum and dad and your dog on a boat and going exactly where you want to. And you'll find out the next step of their journey tomorrow.